and there'd be an upfront mention of the cost so that I could advise what needs to be done as a consultant and a therapist, you know. But this is just free. It's just, there it is. Okay. Well, I'm babbling here. WA6PBJ, Dave in Grass Valley said that.
Why? Well, you're not exactly babbling. The point is that analog to digital is how they use sound in computers. And they take the sound and they slice it into 192,000 individual plus or minus signals. So it's really DC, but it's a whole lot of DC, and it's an artificial sine wave. And it doesn't really sound natural. You don't get the presence that you would with a real analog signal. But yeah, you can manipulate it a lot more than you could with real analog.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, WA6PBJ. Well, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it does it this, it does it that. That's all fine. And being again in the theory, and then if Professor Trainwreck were on frequency, he'd make sure that what I'm saying is proper. Because he kind of makes sure that my audio is right when I'm running Hermes, and he'll come in on my desktop remotely and get in there and adjust it up and all of that. He's my attaché, so that I look decent, you know. It's like, as my attaché, you know, he'll make sure that my briefcase has got all the papers I need when I'm in, you know, on my way to a meeting, and he's looking at me, and he's walking ahead of me, and going around and dusting my jacket and getting my hat right, and maybe kind of asking me, can you pause, sir? Yes. And he'll maybe put some powder on my face or something. So he's my attaché. So he comes in and he dinks around with the Hermes software, you know, making sure that the audio is right. So all I'm saying here is that if Professor Trainwreck were on frequency, he would come in and say, well, what you said is not really quite right. It's like, well, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he would go on with his monologue or whatever, and he would edify us. And so that's great. Why? Well, because maybe we're kind of ignoramuses a little bit, and this is kind of interesting. But the problem therein is that, well, I won't go drilling down on this as a WA6PBJ. The problem is that if you're in a group, and we're rapping off the top, and like this we did, this sound blaster. Okay, so there's other guys that are listening, and maybe they want to get in and talk about bathtubs, or they want to talk about automobile tires and sizes, or they're going to hang a door, blah, blah. So they get in there. They want to kind of share that. You know, it's kind of superficial. So all these guys are there listening to this guy. Well, no, it's not quite like that. You have to consider that you divide it down. Now, the way that works is you take the sinusoidal waveform, and it actually operates it on an algorithm, which is basically a Fourier series transform that's taken from minus to positive infinity over a period of frequency. We're looking at frequency here, not the time domain. And I'm thinking, you know, Professor Trainwreck just came in, and we're supposed to stand up in awe and listen to this band play on us in church. I say practice. That's what I call it, these church bands. Everybody stand up and praise the Lord. Bang a yang a ting yang a bung a ting a bung.
Get off my frequency, jammers!
And be excited as this band practices on us. We'll see, in a way, Professor Trainwreck is I'm thinking that, I'm going to tell these people something. And
if everyone comes out there and says,
well, that's a sign.
No, it's not exactly like that. I just say, why?
Say that. Oh, my goodness.
Just hear your version.
And get another drink.
And then that kind of stops that. But the thing is, everyone uses the radio as a persona of their own personality. It's an extension of who they are, and I didn't realize that at first, and now I'm starting to get it.
Oh, well, WA6PBJ, well, now, geez, when a therapist gives advice, it's with very due consideration. You're not
K6FNX in the group.
You're not supposed to. Okay, now I think that Gore used to do this. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here having an ice cream cone, and I'm with my family, but I've got something to say, and it's like we're little children, and he puts us on his knee, and he bounces us, and he starts telling us what it is that he's got to do. You know, you're not supposed to be doing that as a therapist, so I didn't mean to imply, so I apologize for that. So let's just simply say there's no fee. WA6PBJ.
Yeah, I mean, I'm following what you're saying, and it makes sense. I didn't understand how personal these people took ham radio, but no, I mean, it's easy to disagree. It's very easy to disagree, but it's not so easy to qualify your disagreement, you know? So I just ask them the next logical question, and that shuts them down.
W6PBJ. Well, see, what's logical to you may not be to them. Remember, not everybody enters into a ham radio QSO with the full intention to do some kind of damage. I don't mean edification, but damage. They don't enter into it with the thought of logic. Rather, it's more along the lines of nefarious intention.
Is the frequency in use?
I'm not too sure there's a lot of logic in that, but I suspect they have a laundry list of possible things that they record and play and so on. So logic really doesn't enter into it, I think. That's what I believe. Well, anyway, so the thought here is to maybe try it out. Why don't you try it out? I'll put my Hermes on the air sometime today, and I'll demonstrate this AI for you. That is this we call it analog AD, it's a sound blaster. I'll demonstrate it, and you'll probably think, yeah, I do that. So if you or anybody else gets on there and blabs like I do, you know, you can put this thing on, and they'll say, oh, that guy's got a cool voice. They won't be listening to what you say. They're just going to be mesmerized, like I said. People standing in a church, you know, listening to this band practice on them, they're thinking, oh, you know, I must have died and gone to hell.
Is the frequency in use?
That kind of, but they'll be mesmerized. I guess in the church they're kind of mesmerized by hoping that the noise will go away. You know, please make it go away. Okay. So in your case, we'll be, or anybody's case, we'll be listening to their voice and not what they say. Maybe that's how politics works. WA6PBJ said that.
Yeah, well, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm following it. And as far as people come out here with the intent to do damage, that's a very open question. Now, is logic doing damage? I would say no, it's the opposite. You know, so if they're being logical, they're not doing damage. I'll give you that. And there's somebody else out here who wants a break. Go ahead.
W6PBJ. Breaker. Generally, the radio works where you have to use your what we call your pie hole, and you have to enunciate. So, in other words, speak up.
Yeah, speak up.
Oh, I don't want to disrupt your guys' QSO. I mean, you are having a conversation with an unlicensed ham, so go right ahead there. K6FNX.
FNX, are you, do you have an Oracle WA6PBJ?
No, I don't need one.
That was an excellent question.
Yeah, because I'm thinking for you to come up with a statement like that suggests that it should be substantiated. I don't really know who the unlicensed ham is here. This is William Abel 6, Peanut Butter and Jelly, Dave in Grass Valley. I've had my license since September of 1960.
Well, Dave, I don't want to insult you or anything like that, but You're talking to the unlicensed ham, not yourself unlicensed. You are talking to an unlicensed ham. That's KD6INY. That's Jeffrey Rashad over there in Richmond, California. He's unlicensed. His license expired, and he never, ever had a general license. He only had a tech. So carry on.
Who appointed you network control, first of all?
Well, okay, W6PBJ. Well, I'll tell you what. The thought here is a simple one, and that is that one can simply, circumvent the formality, however minor that formality is these days, to get licensed. I mean, good night. Geez, you've got a laundry list of questions, so I'm guessing you could even do open book now. And you don't have a code or anything, code test, and you do this test thing. I'm suspecting it's conducted by guys that are so desperate to say, I'm a good ham and I want more hams in the radio, that they wouldn't even bother to grade your test. They just take your test and have you sign a piece of paper, and they'll answer all the questions for you, so that it's so easy to get a license. But what I'm saying is, the point is that you can get yourself one of these radio amateur handbooks. International call sign books, They used to publish them. I don't know who did. I forget the organization. It's like the telephone book, a ham radio. And you can go down and pick a sign, and then you can go to, say, QRZ and see indeed if it's not taken. And you can call that sign. Now, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, that's another excellent point, isn't it?
Do you see what I'm saying there?
Yeah, I do. I understand what you're saying. I think Frank paid somebody to take his test, in fact. And I would ask FNX, how's your code speed these days?
Well, code speed is only, I only mentioned that in reference to the days when that was required. And it's interesting because it was how would you call it, a gate enough to prevent any people that, just were not really motivated enough, prevent those folks from peppering up the bands with a lot of nonsense. And folks that really studied that code had to really work at it and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, and nowadays, you go down on the feed out your porch into the band, as I have done, and I copy code in my head. I know 20, 35 words a minute kind of thing. And no, boy, it drives me nuts. I can't. That dots and dashes wants to drive me to just doing another bong, and I'm trying to get out of that, So the point of it is that, code these days probably doesn't really make any sense. For that matter, W6PBJ for that matter, you go to these emergency nets. Well, we're here and we do emergency, and we meet every such net, and blah blah, and they read their charter and they say, is there any emergency traffic? And there never is, and this and that. But daggone well, these guys couldn't handle emergency traffic, or let alone a letter from grandma to grandpa, handle that traffic. They couldn't do it if they had to. And if they were involved in an emergency situation, I don't know how I define what that would be. They'd be bumping into each other if they were physically there, or bumping into the walls. Well, now what they're going to do, we got to get out of here. They'd be all looking to save their own life in emergency. The code is gone. The idea of valid training and how to handle emergency situations, it's all hokey. It's all hokey. Anyway, enough said. WA6PBJ.
Yep. It's just the people who are saying you're licensed, you're not licensed, these are the no-code hams, That was my point. But I would also argue that code is an integral part of amateur radio, because when it comes right down to it, nothing can cut through the traffic or the static better than code. And if you are in an emergency situation, that may be your only way to communicate. So that's why it's important.
Well, I don't argue that. You're absolutely right in terms of the narrow bandwidth and how it cuts through noise. Yeah, that's true. And that's another topic. WA6PBJ, we could talk about. You're too wide. We got these folks. You're wide. Your audio's wide. You don't, and then they get into this. You got to be narrower like me and like everybody else. Why? Well, because it works for me. And you're supposed to sound like me, and you just do 3K wide. So what I'm saying is the bandwidth deal, I suggest that everybody run a maximum of about 2 kilohertz.
Is the frequency in use? Hello, is the frequency in use K6FNX?
And that's, remember, you use the bandwidth that is needed, to maintain. CQ. Like power. Well, so in other words, you're not to interfere with your bandwidth, with adjacent channel. Well, if the channels are clear, then you could go ahead and run a wide bandwidth. But the point of it is, so what I'm saying is that everybody just simply narrow down their audio to 500 hertz to 1500, and you'll still be heard, and a good time will be had by all, and so we'll be utilizing that spectrum a little bit better. So, but the code thing, it requires that the guy on the other end know code, and he's going to say in code, what's the word? Is it QRS, I think, or whatever, for send slower? He's going to send that as best he can. And you'll be sending emergency traffic at about 3 words a minute, I'm
just wondering if this guy's lost his cotton picking mind.
No, he's making sense to me.
And he'll go, and it'll take him 10 minutes to say, copy that, over.
Yeah, so
have you lost your cotton picking mind? You're going to sit out here and talk to this unlicensed operator. He raised hell for years out here, and he went away, and now he's back, and now you're out here communicating with them. So I don't know what's really going on out here, but we got rid of this guy once, and now he's back out here, and you're communicating with them. I don't quite get it. Have you lost your damn mind?
Oh, that's a vulgar term for that particular precious object, that particular organ in our body. Let's use, have you lost your simple mind? Might be good. No, I had no idea, but I'm now edified, and so, yeah. Okay, I did not know that. I thought maybe you were sort of putting me on. I'll tell you this much, though. What I can say is that the idea of carrying on and monologuing that I heard earlier was most different, for sure.
I thought so, too.
Well, so give me that call again on the operator.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. He is known to do that. He will sit out here all day long and carry on with nobody even communicating with them. He is known to do that. He did it for years. And you're out here kind of carrying on with them. This is K6FNX. You kind of enjoy. I'm not sitting around listening to it all day, but I figured I'd let you know so you don't get overly involved with the guy. Nobody wants him out here, and we wish he would die. Anyways, have a great day. K6FNX.
Okay, hey, thank you for the notification, K6FNX, WA6PBJ. Okay, FNX, very good. All right, good. I will definitely terminate and cease and desist. But let me. What's his call again? And I'm not trying to play here. I didn't quite. What was INY or something like that?
Yeah, Kilo Delta 6, India. What the hell is it? Nancy Yankee. Indian Nancy Yankee. KD6INY. Jeffrey Rashad. He's done this before, and that's all he'll do. He'll come out here all day long and jam all day long.
You don't even know the phonetics.
Okay.
It's November.
Well, November 6th, INY?
No. KD6INY.
You don't even know the international phonetics.
KD6INY. Hey, thank you. Thank you for edifying me. I had no idea. I'm a newbie. WA6PBJ.
Oh. You made a lot more sense than you there, FNX. You don't know code. You don't know the phonetics. You don't know anything. And you're telling me I'm not a ham. What the hell?
Hey, Wally, listen to this.
You got to get that O right.
Yeah. I think he was trying to send FU or something.
All right, so I have started to set things in motion. I hear there's this noise-making guy in the background, the unidentified station, so we just ignore him. This is WK6U, so I'm back. Ben, if you're listening, I did motivate a little more. Sarah's working on clearing out the area in front of the front window, because she had a bunch of stuff piled in front of my stuff. So she's moving that. She's getting stuff off the kitchen table so I can turn it into a workbench. And we are moving forward in the process of getting the window covering on today. And it's a group effort, and I'm actually getting along with my wife. That's amazing.
Oh, Dana is going to be so proud of you.
You know, it's not always easy to get along with your wife because, one, they're kind of snippy, and two, I have a really bad temper also. So, like, between the two of us, it's sort of volatile. And apparently, even according to all what is that stuff that women believe in? Like, all the astrological BS? Like, and she's, I think she's an Aries and I'm Virgo. Apparently, we're completely incompatible. Like, we shouldn't be together. And I can tell you after 25 years, they're probably right.
Well, you know, my wife, she instantly goes to "you're an asshole."
Well, that's exactly what I was like, well, you see that like it's a bad thing.
Just get it over with, you know. You're not going to agree with me, even though I'm right. You're not going to agree with me, so just get it over with.
My wife hates it when I'm right.
Are women inherently, W6PBJ, Dave in Grass Valley, I now got religion about the other guy, by the way. Are women inherently illogical?
Well, that's an interesting question, Dave, and hello, peanut butter and jelly. That depends on who you ask, right? So from their point of view, they're thinking completely clearly.
Okay. I never experienced that particular instance. I was married for, 48 going on 49 years. She passed away about, 3 years ago. My wife would be far from illogical. In fact, she would listen carefully, and it was like when, what was that advertisement? When John Hutton talks, people listen or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Well, like, for instance, my mom is a bookworm. She's a very liberal, uber liberal. She says staunch Democrat. There's staunch Republican. She's a staunch Democrat. She's 81 years old. And she's very, very logical, right? She's like Miss Priss logical. Everything's logic. She's like Mr. Spock's wife, except when she gets upset. And when she gets upset, then her frustration suddenly turns her into the most illogical piece of equipment I've ever met. And I've learned that about women. They can be really, really, really smart. And when they get upset, there's a certain threshold that they cross. And then there's this entire other system of logic that men can't understand. And all of a sudden, we're the a-holes. And it's exactly how it works.